Good day, everybody. This is the Ecclesiarch here, back with some more Horus Heresy Legions, and today we're going to be looking at a fan-made expansion, which includes 3 factions that are from Armored Core 6. Now, this right here is going to be a little bit of an introductory note from the author, as well as pieces of lore for each of the factions. And not only about the factions, but in general about the Armored Core. And there's going to be some ambient music as well on the link, so if you guys wish to see these, I suggest you go over to the given links and check it out. This is going to be music for each of the factions, so the author has actually put a lot of work into all of these things. He also has made cosmetics that are like the icons as well as the card backs, which are honestly really cool, to be honest, because I can already see that a lot of work has really gone into making this whole expansion, and I'm really excited to be checking it out, to be honest. Now, without further ado, let's first start from the actual good stuff, which is the factions itself, and we're going to start off from the Planetary Closure Administration. Some of you might have already seen this. It was on one of my streams, but we're going to be going through that from the beginning, because the order was a little bit messed up on the stream, as well as there were some things that were missing. Now, before we begin, there's a little bit of lore here as well, and there are some faction mechanics. You can check out the lore by pausing the video, but as for the faction mechanics, one is that your deck can include 40 cards instead of 30. Now, this is very interesting. Obviously, this is something that is very good in the long run, because nobody's going to beat you in the fatigue game because you got more cards than they do. You have more options, the ability to include even more cards in your deck. However, this also decreases the consistency, so this is not without cost. If you think that this is overpowered, you need to think about the fact that it also vastly reduces the RNG for you, because chances of getting the card that you actually need is reduced because of this. So this is something that you need to keep in mind. Reposition is also a faction mechanic, which is do something when your troop changes the place on the board. If the movement is caused by a dying troop, so for example a troop gets removed, so the troop moves beside your warlord, it triggers only in your turn, so it has to die on your turn for it to trigger because of death, basically. And finally is the armor core and C weapon keyword. So whenever basically you have an armor core C weapon, these vehicles get reduced damage from ordnance. So, as you know, ordnance does extra damage to vehicles, but these are more resistant to ordnance. So, without further ado, let us dive right into it. And the first thing that we have here is the counterattack, which is honestly really good. 0 energy would deal 1 damage to an enemy or give +1 health to a friendly unit, and gain 1 plasma. Now, plasma is also an extra resource that these factions get, a pretty important thing for them, and honestly speaking, this is really good. There's like literally no reason not to want to have this, because it's so flexible. Deals damage, gives you health, gives you plasma, so overall a very strong counterattack for sure. The first warlord that we actually have here is the green warlord, the high mobility light cavalry, and I really like this guy because first of all, he's got reactor, so he's generating that extra resource you want. He's unstoppable, and he can move a troop for that plasma. Now, if you don't have any plasma, he can also shield himself. So this is a warlord that's basically with an energy dump, and it's not only an energy dump, it's a plasma dump, basically, meaning that if you don't have a troop, you can just shield yourself. And the reposition is deal 2 damage to a random enemy. So this is like a warlord that is fully made for this faction. Like, he has synergy with almost everything that is about this faction, which obviously would make this a very strong warlord. Also, considering the initiative on this thing is very high, I would say like this is extremely powerful. Next is the first legendary that we actually have here, called the Research Institute. It's a 2 energy legendary, and you can choose a C weapon and add it to your hand. It costs 2 less, and this card returns to your hand at the end of your turn. So this is really powerful because it adds C weapons, and as you guys remember, C weapons do get lower damage from ordnance. Yep. So it's going to be creating some very powerful tools. However, you need to consider that you are not just getting this out of the blue. It's a reward basically from the prevent intervention mission. So you're not just getting this in your starting deck, because it sounds like really powerful, right? You first have to complete the mission, and the mission is plasma, which is really interesting. So it causes plasma to actually use instead of energy, and you need to reposition your troops 10 times and you get your mission. So basically a very easy synergy, especially with the green warlord. So probably something that you're definitely going to be using on your green one. Very well, so now let's take a look at some stuff. There's the first vehicle with 1 energy 1-3 trashy stats, but does have a reactor and does have an AoE heal. A little underwhelming, obviously, for a fast-paced game like the HHL, but nevertheless, it does have reposition synergy, which is good. Same thing with the Watcher. It's a little bit weak. However, every single time you reposition it, you are putting the copy of this into play, which means that each of them are going to have +1. So once you have 2 of these in play, it's already a 1 energy 2/2, so it's pretty strong. And I do believe this is actually quite the powerful thing, because you can just play this, you can reposition it with the green warlord, and you already have 2 2/2s on the board, and you only used plasma and 1 energy for it. So this might be the cancer troop of this faction, as every faction has almost in HHL. Then we have another vehicle, which is the Sentry. Unstoppable, 2/3 reposition, deal 1 damage to 2 random enemies, and it also has ordnance. It's pretty nice. It would really depend on how popular the vehicles would be at that time, but if there would be like these factions added to the game, obviously you would have a lot of vehicles, so this would be pretty good. We also have the first sea weapon, which is the Weevil autonomous sea weapon, with an 8 energy 6/9 flank relentless, deal 2 damage to all enemies, and reposition, deal 5 damage to a random enemy with ordnance 3. So this is like a gigantic tank. So you put this thing and you can get instant value from it if you're playing the green warlord. So instantly powerful. Not only that, it also gets flank. Honestly speaking, if you ask me, you could even remove the flank from this same thing and it would still be very powerful, because it's so good that it has that reposition synergy. And the green warlord for now seems really good because it has so much synergy with stuff like this. There's this second one, which is Helianthus with flank and cleave, which is pretty good. Overall, understated. I appreciate that it's understated with cleave and berserk because it has flank. A very good quick removal tool, so nothing too crazy here. Overall, just pretty good. You also do get the ephemera, and ephemera is honestly really good. It does deal 4 damage to an enemy troop, and if it dies, it does give advantage. It does give this unit vantage into plasma, meaning that you can then use the plasma ability as well, which is 3 damage to an enemy and 6 to adjacent units. Yikes. Very, very scary. So you put this thing in play and it can just take you to town. It's just good that you cannot target the 6 on the warlord instantly unless they have something on the board, which is pretty good. Coral Orbit is another sea weapon, which is pretty weak apparently from like the first view, but it does have a pretty good reposition. It's troops only, by the way, which makes it very consistent, and it also does have that 1 energy to deal damage to an enemy and move this unit. So, you know, if it survives, it can give you some benefits as well. Finally, or maybe not finally, we do have the autonomous sea weapon CEL 240. This is the heaviest, apparently, from 9 energy, but it's 8/3 only. It does have a shield. When this troop dies from the first time, it will trigger the rally to lose the shield. One moment. Oh, okay. So basically, you got a rally to deal 2 damage to all enemies. For each that died, you put in play a Coral Orbit. But when this troop dies for the first time, you put it back into play, trigger its rally, but you lose a shield. Yeah, I didn't read that right, so now it's absolutely clear. So it's basically, it has 2 lives. You have to take it out 2 times, which makes sense why it only has 3 HP, but it's very scary because it also has the shield, and the rally is very terrifying, so you gotta be very careful whenever this goes into play. But of course, it does not protect your warlord in any way, so there are ways to go around the thing for sure. There's also the other sea weapon, which is Sea Spider. That's the 10 energy one, 510, and when an enemy acts, deal 2 damage to a random enemy, and for 7 plasma you can deal 4 damage to a random enemy twice, which reposition to deal 2 damage to all enemies. So very, very scary unit. Obviously this acts like an Overwatch type of unit, so every time you decide to move, this thing says, well, no. So that is what it is. Alright, next we have the other sea weapon. So all of these are special cards, by the way, meaning you're not including these in your deck. These are mission rewards. So basically we have a rally, deal 3 damage to enemy troop. If it dies, load siege of this troop, and it does have a siege for plasma to deal 2 damage to the target enemy and then deal 6 damage to it, and if it dies you get a shield, and it does have a damage to deal 2 damage to all enemies. So once again, a very scary unit, because it does grant instant value, but it's slower than the others, because even if you load the siege, you still have to wait for the next turn for this guy to use its ability. So there's that. Well, now we're back to the vehicles. You got the Cavalry Assault Rifle, which is a simple unit with Vantage and Plasma. So this is one way you could use your Plasma for sure. A very flexible and very good 3-drop. Then you get the Sentry 3-drop, which is reposition, deal 3 damage to a random enemy with Ordnance. Once again, a pretty good one, because you played with the Green Warlord, you move it and you already deal 3 damage, so very good for an aggro build. We have the Ekdromoi Plasma Gun variant, 5 energy, 5/6, already pretty good stats with Reactor. Does deal 2 damage to an enemy if it survives trigger reposition of this troop, and the reposition is 2 damage to a random enemy troop. Now that is very good, because otherwise you would be dealing 6 damage to the enemy warlord, which would be a mortar strike. So yeah, that would be like absolutely disgusting. There's a second Ekdromoi variant, which you don't have any other troops, move this troop, and reposition is deal 2 damage to all enemies. So basically you can instantly do an AoE with this thing if you don't have any other troops. Stats are very good as well, higher health and cost is always really good. And you got this legendary, which is a special division, and put in play Ekdromoi Plasma Gun and Ekdromoi Machine Gun. Also, you add the Cataphract to your deck. So you summon 2 of these big boys that we already saw, and you also add the Cataphract. And we'll see what the Cataphract is in a moment, but the helicopter right here is also really good. Legendary, nice stats, once again higher health. Reactor 4, by the way. Does deal 2 damage to 2 enemies with Ordnance, and also does have a reposition to put in play a random sentry. Definitely pretty good. You do have this Subject Guard Squadron. Draw 3 cards. For each vehicle you draw, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. I think this could be a little bit too powerful, because most of these kinds of things in HHL, now that I think about it, cost a lot, like around 6 energy maybe, because 4 energy draw 3 cards is really good, but also to deal 2 damage would be very scary. So maybe ramp up the cost on this bad boy a little bit. There's also the Pulse Blade variant, 4 energy, 4/3, relentless to deal 2 damage, and reposition, give shield. Not bad, pretty good in terms of having a shield. I like how it has low HP because it has a shield, but resolutions are always going to be stronger than relentless, though this unit is still pretty good for sure. You have the weapon hangers. You draw 2 vehicles, and if they have reposition, give them rally, move this unit. This is very good. This is like a typical, like, skip a turn but get a lot of value later, so it's pretty damn good. It would still be good even if it didn't give +1/+1 otherwise. Covering fire, deal 2 damage to an enemy. If the target dies, move around a friendly troop. Very typical and good card. I like this one. Good flexibility. There's the heavy cavalry, so another legendary. 4 energy, 3/3, lower stats, shield, but rally, trigger reposition of a friendly unit, and when you put in play a unit, move it. So this is really good that it's like a low cost, because in the late game you could use it together with some other unit and it could be pretty good. Closure area, draw a troop, reduce its cost by 2, typical 3 energy thingy, like supply lines. Zealous defense, give +2 and shield to friendly unit until your next turn, and this is for plasma, by the way, so this is pretty strong. This could be really good if you get a lot of plasma, but keep in mind you have to decide whether or not you want to get those movement bonuses and blow up your plasma, or save it for a thing like this. There's also the heavy cavalry, once again 7/7, shield with 5 plasma, deal 4 to 6 damage. If the target dies, refill 2 energy and plasma. Yikes. And reposition, give your warlord reactor 2. Ooh, this is nuts. So this thing will for sure reward you with Reactor 2. I think this could be ramped down to Reactor 1 because this unit is a powerhouse on its own, because 6 energy, 7/7 shield, even without any abilities, is super powerful. And also that it gives 2 reactor might be very scary because the Warlord can do the motion on this guy and it will just pay for itself the next turn. So maybe reduce it to Reactor 1 or even remove the ability altogether because it's already very strong. We got the Ghost, Stealth, Ambush, deal 4 damage to a random enemy, reposition, give stealth to this troop. Pretty good. Pretty good little annoying unit, easy to take out with AoE, so not toxic. Antigen. Okay, so there's a shield. Rally, if the enemy have more units in play than yours, move this troop. Does have a plasma ability to deal 3 damage to an enemy. If it dies, repeat this effect and move. And every time it moves, it deals 2 damage to the enemy Warlord. Yikes. This thing could could actually do a lot of damage if left unchecked. Hostile sighted, code 5. Give +3 to your Warlord, and if your troop moves, give them frontline until your next turn. That's pretty good. So every time you move a troop, they're gonna become a frontline. That's a pretty good ability. This is a very good buff to the Warlord. No reason not to play it. There's a closure satellite. Give your Warlord when a minute is put in play. Deal 5 damage to it. This is very, very scary. Obviously a slow card. And don't forget, guys, since this is adding like a lot of factions in this game itself, so whenever you would have a mirror or something like that, there will be a lot of shielded units, so this would not be as strong. Now obviously this is not meant to be added as an HHL faction to play against other factions, because it would stomp all of them like into the ground. So this is an expansion of its own. And there's the Cataphract that we mentioned, a massive monstrosity with Vantage, and with Plasma he can either deal 4 damage to an enemy troop, twice, deal 3 damage to all enemies, deal 5 to an enemy and 4 to adjacent, with Ordnance, Reposition to give +1/+1 to your Planetary Closure Administration troops. So an absolute monster. There's the, by the way, this is just a vehicle. Okay, so this is a second Warlord, which is the Officer, 40 HP one with low energy with Reactor. It does put in place sentries for Plasma, and does have a reposition once again to give +2 to a random friendly unit. So very, very interesting for sure. This is more of a buffer type. It's not as strong as this guy, if you ask me, because as you guys know, as was said by the creator, a reposition is basically when your troop changes its place on the board, right? So this guy can instantly trigger reposition by himself. This guy, on the other hand, cannot do that. It's more tanky, it's more for late game, but I would always choose the other one simply because, well, you know, it's the reposition is the whole thing that this thing is about. But this thing can summon sentries, which is 3/3 relentless, deal 1 damage to a random enemy, and reposition, deal 2 damage to a random enemy. So it can summon some pretty strong stuff. There's a supply station, which is give your Warlord Reactor 1 when you put administration troops in play, give 1 Plasma. Very slow, but could be good in the long run. There's the Balteus Astronomer's Craft with Rocket Barrage and Reactor 2. With 3 Plasma, you can deal 2 damage to an enemy. Oh, wait, this is a Warlord. Oh, okay, so this is a Warlord, actually. Wow. So it comes with a Rocket Barrage. It does come with a Reactor as well. And the Plasma is to deal damage to the enemy Warlord, and it has a Relentless to deal 1 damage to random enemy troops. So this is going to be a very, very scary thing. This is a control thingy because it can go face, but it also does not allow you to put in units without being punished. It does have a Rocket Barrage though, which is deal 2 damage to all enemies for each dead, put in play a watch, and return this card to your hand. Yikes. So this is the unit that would really benefit from having all those reactors in the late game, because he's gonna need a lot of Plasma. There's an Airborne Assault Squad, which is put a stun grenade and standard variant in play. Refueling base. Ooh, this is interesting. So structures are always interesting. This thing has Reactor 5, so you just gotta destroy this as soon as possible or you're gonna be in trouble. There's a spaceport as well, which does create units and does give 2 Plasma. I don't know if this unit is very powerful or not powerful, to be honest. Because the thing is, there are so many good units in this faction. I don't know if you would find a place for this, but then again, you do have that ability to basically have 40 cards, which essentially does make it more possible to play all of this stuff in your deck. But I don't know if, once again, it's going to be worth it or not. Maybe plays 35. 40 just seems a little bit over the top, if you ask me. You do have light cavalry with vantage and deal 3 damage. Target dies, you summon a troop. Always good to have extra draw. This light cavalry instead is going to have vantage to deal 5 damage for plasma. And it does reposition your friendly units if you do kill something. So that's pretty good. The kite. Oh yeah, there you go. There's something that will help you move your units. This is going to be crucial for every other warlord other than the green one. There's the rifle variant. When you have played, deal 2 damage to what? Oh, so if this is the only troop you haven't played, instantly is going to deal 2 damage. That's pretty cool. There's a lot of synergy with that, apparently. Oh, this is not nice. This is, I think... Oh, no, it's a siege. Okay, never mind. Sorry. So it can destroy a target enemy troop, but it's not that... I thought that it would be able to destroy that instantly when you put it into play, but now that I look at it, since it has a siege, it's actually doable, so it's not that overpowered. What is this? Destroy an enemy vehicle. If there is none, gain shield. Reposition. Deal 1 damage to all enemies twice, and does have a reactor 3. A very powerful 7-drop for sure. Artillery platform. Once again, reactor. Oh, this is a warlord again. Yikes. So, for plasma, deal 3 damage to the two next deployed enemy units. Next time, deal 3 damage to an target enemy. Holy shit. That's very scary. Unless you're putting in place stuff with shields, this is going to be very, very strong. But it does have can't attack. It does have very low initiative with 1 attack, which is pretty good. Now, this is the sniper cannon variant. 9 energy, 7/9 reactor, vantage, deal damage to the enemy troop. I think this is really good. This is actually extremely good, even because you put this thing down, you probably have the plasma for it, and it just annihilates an enemy troop. So I don't see why you wouldn't want to play this ever. The second one is inferior to the old one, because even though deal 5 damage if the target dies, reposition all friendly troops, that could bring you a lot of bonuses. This guy is just nutty. This could be really good if you have a big board. This is just a flank. It's pretty alright. Always welcome to have like late game flankers. There's a heavy warship for 15 friggin' energy. Costs 1 less if you trigger reposition. So you need to have this in your hand to kind of reduce your cost, just like the what do we call that? What are those things? Norn emissaries, yeah, from Warforge. Reactor 4, vantage, deal 4 damage to all enemy troops. Relentless, put 1 light cavalry in play, put 1 Ronin in play, and move this troop for each 2 that it died. Jesus. Very scary troop. If you do get it, this is gonna be a monster. Absolutely. There's also a combo with the thing that moves all your units. Ronin is nothing too crazy. We just deal damage and just movement. And there's also the next warlord, which is the enforcement system. Pretty powerful thingy here. Termination mode, reactor, and when your troop moves, give +1/+2 to it, and you choose 1 non-sea weapon troop and add it to your hand. It costs 1 less. So your typical control warlord that is going to generate some value, but it also has a termination mode, which means that it's bringing out like a last termination. It's like a transformation, basically. Gives 5 plasma and cost 1 less when the friendly unit moves. So pretty powerful, easy to do, because it's not as easy to do it as with the green warlord, but it's still not going to be that hard. But when you do it, it transforms into this monstrosity right here. This thing had how much HP, by the way? 40. So it's going to heal 5, reactor 5, choose either get a shield, deals 3 damage to 3 random enemies, Deal 5 damage to the target enemy. If it dies, trigger reposition of friendly troops. Give +2 and first strike to your next attack. I can act again, but can't use ability. Deal 2 damage to a random enemy troop and give +1 to your warlord. Jesus, this is so much. This is a lot of things that this thing does. It's good that it gives you so many choices. A little bit of a mind scramble though with how much things that it does, but nevertheless pretty powerful. I'll be honest, my favorite warlord is still the green one because reposition is just so good. So 5 energy 4/5 front line, deal 2 damage if it dies, give shield to this troop. So it's a 5 energy 4/5 shield basically. And if you reposition it, you're also gonna get a 6/6. This is so powerful. 5/6. If you play this with the green warlord and kill something, you have a 5 energy 5/6 with shield. Oh boy. And it can even grow. This is one of the strongest units that we've seen actually. You do have this grenade cannon variant that if you control other troops, deal 4 damage to the enemy warlord and move. So also there's a good synergy there. So there's also synergy with moving and not moving, having a lot of troops on the board. There's light cavalry, riot shield, buffer, pretty okay. This is all right. This is like a flamethrower, makes sense with low HP, so definitely not that overpowered. Good anti-AoE. This is to choose one denoiser variant, the denoiser probably, and they cost 2 less. So return a friendly vehicle in your deck and give it +1/+1. Give 2 plasma, that's good. Reposition. Okay, obviously there's a reposition ability, right? Just to move it. This is very necessary because if you don't have this, no one other than the green warlord will be able to move stuff, right? Give can't attack to 2 random enemies until your next turn, so it's like a mini Nostromo. For plasma though, there's another plasma one that drops the light cavalry variants in your hand and they cost 2 less, so it costs plasma, so it's huge. Target lock, target enemy troop, all random damage tactics and abilities target this unit until it dies. That's so cool. This is like a very nice little debuff with plasma. So if you really want to get rid of a big bulky enemy troop with your random pings and you have a lot of them, this is going to be pretty good. And then there's the swift reload with target friendly unit. It gives can't attack to it until your next turn, but it can act again. Next ability of this unit costs 0. So you basically give it can't attack and the ability is going to cost 0. But here's a scary thing. This is until your next turn, right? So which means that you can attack with the unit first, then give this and then use the ability. But you're going to use this ability the next turn. So it's not instant value. The can't attack doesn't really matter because so it can act again but can't attack again. It can use the ability. The can't attack doesn't really matter much there unless you target a very late game unit. So probably you'd want to attack with the unit, then do this, and then make it use the ability, or make a unit, use this on the siege unit that could destroy the other troops. That would be pretty good. Ruins, next to your troops you play have +1/+2, and put in play a repair in play. Another cavalry shield, 4/7. No, not a shield. Front line 4/7. Heal 1, deal 3 damage to random enemy. This is pretty good, but I prefer the other front line that gets a shield and moves around. Reconnaissance in force, deal 2 damage to all enemies with stealth, they lose it. Perfect for plasma. 2. Give flank to a target friendly troop, once again from plasma, pretty good. Oh, there's a tank centurion. 5 energy 3/5, interesting stats. We see a lot of that in HHL. With relentless to deal 3 damage to a random enemy, rally to deal 3 damage to 2 random enemies. So crazy firepower, but superior, like subpar stats. This guy looks really cool. Oh, so it instantly attacks something. And it deals damage to the warlord if it kills it. And that means even if this dies, it's still gonna activate that extra damage to the enemy warlord. And you do have resolution activate repositioning random friendly units. Pretty good. This thing gives like a ton of value as a late game card should. Laser shot, destroy an enemy troop. So Ashen Blow basically on steroids because it also has the ability cost reduction. Stationary laser artillery overloads. Plasma, deal 5 damage to the target enemy, can't attack. So it's like a siege engine. I don't really like units like this in general that can't attack, but if it does survive, it can be a cancer for sure because it pays for itself with reactor. There's a sentry with reposition with health bonus. This is weak. This is not something I would really use, because even if you reposition it, this thing becomes a 3 energy 4/3. Not that good. If it was a 3/4, it would be really good. There are just better options in the game. Repairer. Reactor, stun a random enemy for each repairer we control. Yikes. So this could perma-stun you until removed if you have 2 of these on the board. It's also relentless too. Flamethrower, reposition, deal 1 damage to any warlord, 1 adjacent, and cleave. Well, pretty good. Nice anti-AoE. This guy looks really cool. Relentless, reposition. Now, there's the problem. Honestly, I only see one problem with the whole thing that we have here. This is pretty cool because it has plasma reflection, so you can dump your whole plasma in it. Let's actually finish off and I'll tell you what exactly is the problem. So there's a Delta Strike to deal 6 damage to enemy and 3 to adjacent units. Yeah, this can target the enemy warlord, so why not? This one is just a stun, but it has to have advantage, so that's pretty good. This one is relentless, and yeah, once again, I see the problem that we have here, and I'll tell you what the problem is. This is pretty powerful because 2 random friendly units, that includes itself, so this could be a flank and shield if you reposition it. The Tortoise, once again, a can't attack unit. As I said, I don't really love these, but they can be really good if left unchecked. This is another version of that. 0 attack for me is just too little. This is really good. If the enemy acts in the next turn, deal 3 damage to it. Jesus Christ. So you play this thing, and unless it gets removed by a tactic, this thing is just going to be a menace for 1 turn at least. And satellite scan, target enemy units with stealth, lose it, draw a card. Very powerful. This is probably the most powerful thing that I've seen here. Like 1 plasma only to draw a card, and everybody... Oh, an enemy unit with stealth. Sorry, taking it back. It's for just 1 unit. Still really powerful though. Maybe it should be at least 2 plasma. But I thought it was all enemies for a second. But now that I reread it, it's pretty good. Pulse targets. Give ward to the friendly unit until your next turn. Draw a card. Now that for 3 plasma is alright. Construction site. Choose a troop in your hand. Reduce the cost by 2. Sure, that's also pretty good. Last stand. Give front line and +3 to a friendly unit. Oh, yeah, this can also target your warlord, so it can protect your troops. Scary. Heavy weapons, next friendly unit ability deals 3 damage. Really good, once again, you can deal a lot of burst. Here's another heavy cavalry. Rally and reposition, give +2/+1 to your troops. It's alright, nothing too crazy. So this guy is basically not 2/6, but it's actually 6/7. But if your warlord does reposition the green warlord, it's the 8/8, right? Fire from all guns. Deal 2 damage to all enemies. At the end of the turn, deal 2 damage to random enemy for each unit control. That's a lot of AoE right there. More light cavalry with advantage. Move all your troops. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. And ordnance. Suppressive fire. Deal 3 damage to all enemies. For each dies, get 1 plasma and draw a card. Oh, it has a stealth unit as well with light cavalry. Deal 4 damage to an enemy troop. If it dies, draw a tactic from your deck. Otherwise, lose stealth. Oh, nice. So if you don't take something out, it gets punished for it, which is pretty interesting. This is the second variant of the kite. Just a nice little flank tool. Pretty good with unstoppable on top. And this is another sea weapon, which is 8 energy, 8/7, bloodthirst. Give +2 if the enemy has 2 or more troops in play. And does have resolution to give reactor 1. I like that resolution. I like how it gives 1 reactor. I think the 2 reactor on the other guy was a little bit too strong. Oh, there's another sea weapon, the worm. Holy shit, what the hell? But how do you play this though? It's 11 energy, right? Put in play IEA 12 Seeker and play Relentless Give. How do you play this? Oh, you have things in your hand that do reduce the cost of your troops. This is going to be very hard to play though, because it's 11. There is a Seeker. Attack a random enemy at the start of your turn. Attack first enemy who get attacked from Seeker. What? Oh, okay. So the ice worm is going to attack the first enemy that these guys will attack. Fair enough. That's why it costs so much. Okay, another anti-stealth. Another rally with reposition and deal 2 damage to all enemies. Satellite drone, deal 3 damage if target dies, reposition a friendly unit, sure. Construction area, add 3 random. You don't need this. It's too much. You don't need this. Now, here's the problem and the good thing I see. The good thing is that it's pretty interesting. There's a lot of synergy apparently with the faction. You can see that it's well thought of. It's also pretty good with all of its art and everything. So I think it's a pretty well done faction. There's just one problem. I would never play anything other than this guy, because this guy has movement in itself and it makes him so strong that some of these things instantly are played and give you like super value. Let me tell you, for example, what the problem with this is. But by problem, I'm saying that I don't like it. I'm just saying that it's going to overshadow the other warlords, right? Now it's really hard to find which one it was, because these armored core things do look quite a lot like each other. So there was that legendary that gave 2 oh yeah, there you go. For example, this guy, you put it down and instantly reposition it and you get reactor 2 to your warlord. So it's already so crazy strong, right? Now apart from that, there was also that a shield unit, the front line unit, that you can instantly give a shield and give like a buff to it, which makes it like extremely powerful. There was the other legendary that instantly gains a lot of value, like this, for example. You drop it, you reposition it, and suddenly it's a 6/7, right? So that Green Warlord has a huge advantage. The other problem is that you have so many units with rally advantage that the units that don't have it are kind of overshadowed. Once again, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing. There's always supposed to be some vanilla factions, I guess. Not that these things are vanilla, but I would never want to use stuff without vantage and rally when I have so many good rally and vantage troops in my deck, right? Overall, pretty interesting stuff. And now, let's actually go and check out the reuse and development. Alright, so now let's take a look at the reuse and development, and this one is actually super interesting. I think this might be my favorite one. So essentially what the mechanic for these guys is that they get scrap. It's like an extra resource like psychic power or plasma, and it can be received by tactics, troops, special cards, and you get 1 scrap for each 2 dead troops in the game, right? Now, I assume, I haven't asked this actually, but I assume that this is friendly troops or this might be all troops. So either way, you basically get the scraps from there. Now, scavenger, do something at the end of your turn if you have X scrap. Makes sense, so you essentially have a resolution, basically. And armored core, once again, they get reduced damage from ordnance, just like everything else. So, number one that we have here is the counterattack. It's a draw a troop from your deck and give 1 scrap. Very good. Counterattack is basically the Emperor's Children counterattack, but now they also give you 1 scrap, which is pretty good. So the first thing that we get here is the Warhead Launcher. So 4 energy 2/5, very similar to the Iron Warrior unit, but which is for cheaper. It does have reactor, so plasma is a thing for these guys as well. And he has Scavenger, deal 5 damage to the enemy warlord. So essentially when you drop this bad boy, if you have Scavenger 2, it's if you have 2 scrap, it's going to instantly deal 5 damage to the enemy warlord's face. So that's pretty scary. So it's pretty easy to achieve. It does drop a very subpar unit for 4 energy though. So I guess that's what is meant to balance it out. I would say perhaps is a little bit better if this would be random troop, because it essentially does still shoot a free mortar strike. So might be a little bit on the too powerful side as it is now. So now first we have the Honest Brute, I like the name, Associate of Cinder. 240 has a special card, Double Trouble, Reactor 2 obviously, and for 2 plasma you get 1 scrap, and the next time you deal 2 damage to the target enemy. This is a very good warlord. I love warlords like this. So it just gives you a resource, next turn deals damage, so it's for plasma, and yeah, pretty awesome. Double Trouble is deal 3 damage to an enemy. If it dies, give 5 scrap. Very good card, once again, to just refill your scrap supplies and to take out some extra, take out an extra target. Next, we have the Puncher. Now, this is rally deal 2 damage. If the target dives, give 1 scrap. Pretty good unit. We have the Buzzsaw variant with Scavenger 1 to give +2/0 to this troop. So it's a 3 energy 3/4 if you have 1 scrap. If you don't have 1 scrap, it's just a 1/4, which is a par. But 3 energy 3/4 is nice stats for sure. Next, we have the Toy Box 5 energy 4/4 and Rally. Reduce damage dealt to this troop probably by half until your next turn. If it survives, deal 2 damage to all enemies. Very nice, very nice. So essentially you need to deal either 4 instances of 1 damage to this, or you need to deal 8 damage, else you're not taking this guy out. So it's a very cool concept. I really like this one. To be honest, I already like these guys more than the first ones. This is like this seems more interesting, to be fair. So this is the legendary, another toy box. So 6 energy 6/5. Shield and Scavenger give shield to 2 other friendly units. Once again, pretty good. So it's a 6 energy 6/5 with shield. So this is much better than giving it like very high stats, because shield honestly is worth a lot. So pretty good legendary right there, and has a very good scavenge ability on top. What is this? So 5 energy 2/7, reduce damage dealt to this troop by 2, and does deal 4 damage for 3 plasma. Very good 5-drop, honestly. So essentially this is like armor in Warp Forge. So essentially you have 2 armor on this, which is really cool. This is gonna be very hard to take out. It doesn't have front line though, and it's a big threat, to be fair. This is a very scary and annoying unit to deal with, but due to its low attack, it can still be patched a lot, so that I guess does balance it out. So this is the stun variant. Rally stun random enemies, stun units damaged by this troop. Beautiful, very nice little unit there. And now we have 9 plasma punchers and kickers. Put 2 punchers and 2 kickers in play. Yikes. So you have a very scary finisher for 9 plasma. So if these guys have some means of getting very early plasma, this might be a little too strong, but either way, let's continue. So let's take a look at what are those punchers and kickers. So the kicker is 5/2, cleave 2, very weak in its own way, because it has low health, but it does have did we already see the puncher? No, we didn't. We'll see the puncher soon, I guess. It does have that cleave though. We have the Own Machines. Give your warlord relentless random use development troop in hand. So a typical value generation card. Nothing too crazy there. We have Build and Repair. Give your warlord, when you put in play a troop, heal 1 to your units. Ooh, this is very scary. I love it. That's a good use of 6 energy plasma right there. There's a Wrecker. Your reuse and development troops cost 1 less. Trigger scavenge of friendly units. Give 2 scrap. Nice little finisher. Not even a finisher. Nice little like expensive buff. I like that. Defend the Grids. Deal 2 damage to all enemies. Deal 1 damage to an enemy when it attacks unit until your next turn. Okay, that's pretty good. So this is like a good way to stop the enemy from attacking. There's this C2000 reactor. Rally, choose 1, give 2 scrap, deals 3 damage, or give 3 plasma. Very nice unit here. This patch actually is way more balanced than the previous one, and honestly speaking, I really like where this is going currently. So there's C3000 Wrecker. Rally triggers scavenger of other friendly units, and for 5 plasma you can deal 4 damage to 2 random enemies, and for scavenge 3 you can deal excessive damage to the enemy warlord. This is really good. Once again, a nice late game unit. And we have the second warlord, who is the Liar Faust, chief of the diplomatic delegation. Reactor, scavenger, create random reuse and development tactic in hand. That's good. And so basically this is interesting. So the warlord is going to be wasting your scrap every turn, so this is going to be pretty scary. But for 2 plasma you can actually deal 2 damage to the enemy troop. If it dies, reduce the cost of a random tactic in your hand by 1. This is also very interesting. So essentially you're creating tactics and then you're decreasing the cost. Very interesting interaction there. Next one is Found and Destroy, a legendary. Give your warlord battle honor, trigger scavenger of random friendly unit. Very, very, very good. This will be very useful for this guy because this guy is going to have natural synergy with it and he's going to have problems keeping the scraps. Next one is the grenade dispenser, reactor, and relentless give 1 scrap. Beautiful, but way too slow, realistically. We have the back-mounted missile launcher variant, scavenger, nice scavenger there, so could be worth running this unit actually. Defense measures, give invulnerable to 2 random friendly units and lose invulnerable after first enemy attack. That is so good. I love how it's balanced around the fact that it will only end up affecting 1 unit in the end, and if you have only your warlord, it will still be scary because once the enemy attacks, you still lose it. So very interesting. In active mode, put in play 2 random development troops in your hand. They have stunned until first damage dealt to them. Oh, interesting. Wait, what? Oh, wow. Oh, from your hand. Okay, now I see. Now I see. So you basically put them into play. Yikes, that's pretty scary. You're essentially playing 3 cards, so you might run dry, unless you have a lot of card draw though. So there's a card draw, speaking of which. Draw a card, give to the enemy as stun if they attack until your next turn. Once again, a very good way of slowing the enemy down. And here's the next legendary. 7 energy, 8/7, scrap 5, destroy random enemy troop, draw a card. Beautiful. Deal 3 damage to the enemy. If it dies, give 3 scrap. Beautiful. And with reactor 3 as well. Pretty powerful. Endless grids, draw 5 cards and give 1 scrap for each vehicle drawn. Scavenge 8, give +2/+3 to 5 random vehicles in hand. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Once again, a very good finisher. Little slow, of course, so maybe run 1 copy. Invincible Rummy, reactor. Oh, this is a warlord, so scavenge 1, stun a random enemy. Ooh, this is very scary. This is giving me Calibdecima a flashback. So it does have 30 HP though. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. Next time, deal 2 damage to a target enemy. So this is like a very control-y type of warlord. Crushing ambush. All enemies lose stealth. Give 1 scrap for each enemy that lost stealth. So this is for plasma, by the way. Give your warlord scavenger. Deal 3 damage to a random enemy. Ooh, this could be very scary on this guy, to be honest. He could actually deal a ton of damage with that. And we have the intercontinental catapult. Give your warlord relentless, put in play a random 4 or less cost development unit. Ooh, this is very scary. But if you play this, soon the value is going to like ramp up like crazy. So it's good that it costs 7. Scrap field. Give 1 scrap if someone puts troop in play until your next turn. Once again, these guys have some really cool ways of punishing you for playing, basically. Rally, give 1 scrap. Okay, simple and good. Open shield, give shield to the friendly unit. Scavenger 3, give shield to all friendly units. That's beautiful. Laser blade variant, deal 2 damage to an enemy adjacent unit. Scavenger 2, deal additional 2 damage with ordnance. So anti-vehicle, very good. Bust strike, deal 2 damage if the target dies, give 2 scrap. Very, very good. Typical like 3 energy damage card that's very popular in HHL right now. Oh, there's another legendary. Trigger Scavenger of this troop. Scavenger, create a random development vehicle in hand. It costs 1 less. Very nice little unit. Nothing too strong, but very good free value. So similar to a lot of HHL units we have. Factory Grid. Add your hand 3 heroes and development troops. Scavenger 3, they cost 1 less. Very good. Once again. Clutch Standard Variant. Reactor 2. Resolution. For each friendly unit in play, give 1 scrap. That is very, very good. It's going to give you a lot of value instantly, and stats are subpar because it should be. Finder Eye. Choose a reuse and development troop and add it to your hand. Scavenger 2. It costs 2 less. Pretty good. Once again. Overseer. Mission. Generate 20 scrap. And the Endless Overwatch is the reward. And Endless Overwatch is give your warlord relentless, give 4 scrap, deal damage equal to your scrap to a random enemy. Holy hell, I love this. This is actually so good. This is like something that really rewards you for gathering all that scrap. So pretty damn good. And there's the final warlord, another anime waifu. So basically leader of the reuse and development full course reactor. Create a troop and give it +1/+1. Let's not draw a card. If it's tactic, give 1 scrap. Beautiful. And wants you to be dead. Reduce the cost by 2 if you trigger scavenger. Wait a minute, what? Huh? So basically she kills you or what? I don't get this. Full course. Wait, maybe there's something here about it. Maybe it's a... Huh. Oh, okay, I see. So she turns into Overseer Carla. Okay. Alright, so she becomes this crazy form, and reactor 4, your Relentless and Scavenger Warlord triggers twice. Yikes. And basically you have 4 deal 2 damage to 3 random enemies, give 1 scrap. So if you complete the mission with this, like if you complete the mission with her, essentially you could give your Warlord this Relentless and it would just annihilate everybody. So it's basically, she's meant to be played with the mission. Chat is thick. Right hand of... Oh, so it also gives... oh, it's another Warlord. Okay, Battle Honor. Give 1 scrap, choose a card and draw it from your deck for Plasma. That is very good. So it essentially gets a free card draw because it does pay for itself with the reactor. Traitor Attache. Destroy target enemy troop, give 2 scrap. Okay, beautiful. Rough but effective. Choose a troop from your hand and discard it. Add 3 copies of this troop to your hand. Scavenge 2, you don't discard that troop. That's pretty scary. Handler's Hounds, 15 plasma. And you are adding all of these units to your hand and they cost 4 less. Let's see what they are. So this is the first Hound, which is 7/6, deal 3 damage. If the target dies, give 3 crap. Crap. Mouse. Scrap. Relentless, deal 4 damage to a random enemy troop. Okay. Then you have the Handler's Hound. Deal 2 damage to the 2 random enemies and scavenge 2, deal 3 damage instead. That's pretty good. And you also have this one with deal 5 damage, so you could deal a ton of damage to the enemy Warlord. Leader of the Black Market. Add 2 random Planet Closure Administration, Reuse and Development Rubicon Liberation Front troops in your hand. Oh, okay. So essentially... you choose which one you want. So this is like Orphans of War. You get to choose it from the other factions as well. If you're smart, you're gonna choose Planetary Closure. I think. Smart Cleaner. Deal 5 damage if the target dies at 2 development troops. Give them, buff them. Give additional buffs and reduce their cost by 2. I mean, this is like a typical, a very good legendary for late game. Draw a card. All enemies lose stealth. Pretty strong. Once again, for 2 plasma only. Reactor Overload, 4 plasma, give Reactor 1 to your Warlord. Okay, obviously that is good. Frontline, Rally, give Reactor 2 to your Warlord. Very, very, very good. Now, this is a Reactor card that I would like to see for sure. Dozer's Anger, give +1/+1 and trigger it. If they have Scavenger, they're going to trigger Scavenge. That's pretty good. Cold Call. Next troop that enemy puts in play receives jam and 3 damage. That's scary as hell. Very good control tool. Draw a card. And Scavenger 1, draw a card. So a pretty good cycle unit for sure. This would be something that you would always include because it just draws you so many cards. Trigger Scavenger, a friendly unit, draw a card. Pretty good once again. So what is this? This is the MTE Rad Machine Gun. Draw a card, give 1 scrap. Trigger Scavenger of a friendly unit. Okay. Orbiter, deal 4 damage to a random enemy. Deal 1 damage to all enemies. And Scavenger, give +1 to this troop. Fair enough. Good late game. This is Plasma. Jailbreak. Rally, heal your Warlord by 4. Repeat the rally effect. So for 9 energy, you could heal 8. And you could drop this bad boy. So that's really damn good. And it could do it every single turn. Yikes. That could be pretty scary. PCA prevents us, gives stealth to 2 random friendly units. If they die, give 1 scrap for each. Okay, alright. What if the Warlord gets it? I guess in that case it doesn't give scrap because it won't be needed. Rally, give 2 scrap. This is not good. This is not good. Like 6 energy, 5/5 with scrap is trash. Another toy box. If an enemy has more troops in play, Scavenger of this troop just gets triggered and deals 3 damage to all enemies. That is a little scary for sure. Next, you got the shotguns, deal 4 damage to the target enemy. If it dies, give 2 scrap. So, an upgraded version of the previous one. Wrecker Worker variant. Consume all scraps and give plasma equal to half. Oh, that's so good. You could do this and you could play that very heavy plasma thing, which was the Handler's Hound. So, there's a combo there for sure. Oh, and that's it. Yeah, but what was the puncher, though? Puncher. There was the kicker, but there was no puncher. This is kicker, right? So where's the puncher? Oh, this is the puncher. Okay, I see. Overall, I like these guys way better than the previous one because previous ones were very cool. I love the Warlord, for example, but this one has some serious balancing issues in a sense that this Warlord is way better than the others. I think, at least, maybe I'm wrong. And there are some cards that are just so much stronger than the other cards, right? But this one actually has a way better balance and a way better system in general. So for now, Reuse in Development is my favorite out of the two. Now let's see Rubicon Liberation. All right, now we finally have the Rubicon Liberation front. And let's see what these guys do. So the Rubicon Liberation front have stand as 1. So do something at the start of your turn if you have X other troops on your board. So the more troops you have, the scarier it gets. And it has shuffle mechanic. Some cards can be shuffled or add a card to your deck. It calls shuffled. Oh, so basically if you shuffle or if you add a card to your deck or shuffle something back, it's shuffled and it can be interacted with by the card pool, and obviously it still has the armor core mechanic. And counterattack is shuffle this card to your deck, draw a card. So very, very good counterattack. I love it, actually, because this is a thing that essentially automatically combos really well with the factions mechanics. So this is really good. And it's not overpowered because you still keep this shuffled in your deck and you can always redraw this. Like you do have to waste 1 energy for it, so every time you draw this instead of a card you need, you play for 1 less energy that turn. So, you know, it's a bit of a nerf as well, so pretty cool. Middle Flatwell. So Tsubasa is his ability or her ability or whatever. And Reactor 2, shuffle troop from your hand into your deck and buff it. Very, very nice. And Tsubasa is to choose an independent mercenary and add it to your hand. At the end of the turn, return this card to your hand. So what is this? Broken but not dead. Draw 2 shuffled cards. Nice. So essentially you shuffle 2 troops and then you draw it and you have like powerful troops. And this is for plasma, don't forget. So you could actually do this quite soon. You could do this as soon as like second turn. But don't forget that you're kind of losing cards when you're doing this, so there's a payoff as well. Now the first legendary, Rokumonsen. So 8 energy, 9/8. Draw 3 shuffle troops in your deck and stand as 1/2. Destroy random enemy troop. Resolution, put in play random MTE 104 variant. Now here's the question: which one triggers first, the stand as 1 or resolution? If the resolution triggers first, in that case, wait a minute, I need to check something here. If you have X other troops, okay, so it cannot auto-trigger. So essentially it has a good combo with itself, but you'll need 1 more troop in order to trigger the stand as 1. Pretty balanced, I would say. Shotgun variant, stand as 1/1. Deal 2 damage to a random enemy and adjacent troops. Okay, that's pretty good. That's for sure pretty good. Scary if the enemy does not take out your troops from the board. And there's the special variant. Trigger stand as 1 of 1 friendly unit. That's pretty good. So randomly you could trigger 1 stand as 1, which is really nice. No sack, 5/7, stand as 1/2. Give Bloodthirst to this troop. Savage, deals damage to a random enemy. So you drop this. This is very slow though. This is very slow. It's an independent mercenary, by the way. You can get it from Tsubasa. So you drop this thing, and it needs to survive a turn while also having 2 other troops on the board, and it will get like crazy savage because of that. You can deal what? 16 damage with this if it survives. A little bit slow, but if it survives, it can be nasty. Back-mounted missile launcher. Deal 1 damage to an enemy. If it dies, draw a shuffled card and reduce the cost by 1. Yikes, that's pretty good. Fires of Ibis. Give your Warlord Relentless. Add a copy of shuffled card in your hand. It costs 1 less. That's pretty good. That's a very good value right there and very good synergy. Pile Bunker. Destroy a random enemy troop. Shuffle this card to your deck. It costs 1 less. Okay, that's pretty good. It's random, and it's like Pride of the Emperor. Basically, I like the design of it. Emergency support. Put in play 2 random MT 104 variants. Okay. And Forged in Ash. Choose an independent mercenary and put it in play. Okay, so you could essentially put the Nosak in play as well, but I think there are better independent mercenaries coming probably. So for now, we got the Reactor 2 Relentless and Resolution to deal 3 damage to a random enemy. Pretty good, pretty good. Maybe a little bit on the slow side, but slow side, no, I'm lying, not slow side. Understated, but pretty good because it does have Relentless and Resolution. Arshil, it kind of sounds like similar to my name. AC Old Soldier, nice. Oh, the author did mention that there was something that sounds very similar to my name. So Reactor 3, Backlash, shuffle copy of this card into your deck, give it -1/-1. So essentially, this is an immortal unit, but it gets weaker every time you shuffle it back. Pretty good. Beyond the Scorched Skies, shuffle all your troops from your hand to deck and give +1/+2. Draw a card for each shuffled troop. That's pretty good. So you could redraw those shuffled troops as well, and you could get essentially a better hand, and it costs plasma, so there's literally no reason not to use this. Frederick, 9 plasma once again. So independent mercenary, frontline rage, reduce the cost of shuffle cards in your deck by 1. Oh boy, this is actually very scary. If these guys can get plasma very soon, this might be very powerful. We'll see. Mounted Grenade Cannon variant, Reactor and Savage deal 4 damage to a random enemy. Too slow. Little Z, so this is a Warlord. Deals 2 more damage to enemy troops. Oh, okay. Okay. And deal 1 damage if the target dies can act again. This ability deals 1 more damage until the end of your turn. So it deals 3 damage essentially. Holy hell. Yikes. This could be overpowered a little bit. This is essentially 4 damage with basic, but it has 30 HP though. Okay, let me just check out some other stuff and I'll say. Terrifying View. Add 2 independent mercenaries to your deck. They cost 5 less, and enemy tactics and truce cost 2 more, and draw 2 cards. It's 7 plasma, so I guess it makes sense, but it's a secondary resource, so you gotta be very careful with things like that. But it could be... It's a very RNG heavy. You could instantly draw those mercenaries, and your opponent might not even have anything to answer that, so I don't know how I feel about this one. Spread Cannon variant, Frontline, Relentless and stand as 1/1. Deal 3 damage to 3 random enemies. Oh, nice. That's pretty good. That's a good card right there. Monkey Gordo, 4 Reactor 4 flank, shuffle a random card from your hand to the deck. They cost 0. Draw a card. So you could once again draw the card, which is 0, and you could replay it like on the same turn. Rifle variant, Reactor, put copy of this troop in play, rage, draw a card. Very good. Juggernaut, heavy mobile artillery, front line, deal 5 damage to random enemy. If it dies, trigger stand as 1 of all friendly units. Resolution, put in play a random MT4 variant and give it +1/+3. Considering that it's only 6 health, 6 damage, it could be okay. It does seem very strong, but don't forget that it's 10 energy, so 10 energy cards usually can get away with being too strong. Index Dunham, Reactor, draw a card when you trigger stand as 1 and add random MTE 104 variants in your hand and give it +1/+1. So this is a Warlord actually. It actually has stand as 1. And this is only has oh, it doesn't have stand as 1. This is when you trigger stand as 1, right? You trigger from you draw cards. So this is your value generation Warlord basically. Oh, what is this? Rage, trigger stand as 1 of friendly units, stand as 1/2, deal 2 damage of 2 damage. Oh, yikes. So this can also hit you as well. So when you play it, holy shit. This is like the typical Horus Heresy Legion's very strong 3 energy legendary. Rally, deal that 2 damage, stand as 1/1, deal 1 damage to 1 enemies. Okay, that's pretty good. Understated as it should be. Deal 4 damage to a random enemy troop. That's all right, I guess, because once again, it's a little bit understated, but this could be really strong. I think you should switch it to enemy so that it has a chance to hit the Warlord as well, so it doesn't become impossible. Because if you put like 2 of these on the board, it gets very ugly. Deal 2 damage if the target dies. Trigger stun as one of all friendly units. Scary once again. Valerian Cross. Give stun to the enemy. Savage. Give stun to 2 random enemies. Okay. Pretty good. Sola. Rally trigger Savage. So this is pretty good. There's a lot of Savage synergy here, which I really do like. And it can trigger the Savage of himself as well. So he could deal 5 damage twice. But it's a 10 energy unit once again, so can get away with it. For each armored core in play, deal 3 damage to a random enemy. This is typical HHL once again. I'd say reduce the damage to 2. A Raven, 8 energy 7/7. Rally, deal 4 damage to the target enemy. Vantage, by the way, 6 energy, deal 3 damage to a random enemy troop twice. If it dies, add Pile Bunker to your hand deck and cost 2 less. Stand as 1/1. Give 0 + 1 to your armored core troops in hand. That's pretty good. Nothing too crazy here, but pretty good for sure. It takes a lot of resource to fully use because of that plasma. For 10 plasma, you can also add 5 random mercenaries. They cost 3 less and get less stats, and it also has maintenance too. Oh, this is pretty good. This is fair because you add the units, they cost less, but they're weaker and they have maintenance. Grand Victory, deal damage, 2 damage to the enemy Warlord and 5 to adjacent enemies. So Graviton Cannon basically. Rally, put copy of this troop in play. Okay, that's fine. Choose independent mercenary, add to your hand, cost 2 less. Okay, that's not crazy there. Reduce the cost of your troops in your deck by 2. So basically, I don't know if this is that good, because essentially you already have a lot of things that reduce the cost of your troops as it is. Trigger stand as one of all friendly troops. Okay, that's pretty good. That's for plasma, by the way, so it's worth it. Add 3 random planetary closure vehicles. This is automatically. Anything that's planetary closure, you automatically use it. Those units are crazy. Vantage, 3 plasma attack random enemy troop. Savage, draw a card. This is amazing. This is super. You drop it, and for plasma, you attack and you instantly draw a card. Super. Victor's Way, flank, rage, and savage. Random card in your hand costs 1 less. Nice energy manipulation. Rusty. Have sneak attack if you trigger stand as 1 5 times in the match. Ooh, interesting. Rally if you control no other troops, gain flank. So this could potentially be a very strong flank if your game is going well. Next unit, Warlord, Ring Freddy. Stand as 1/2, deal 3 damage to a random enemy, and deal 1 damage to 2 random enemies for each 1 decrease copy of shuffle cards in your hand. So if you let this guy drop a lot of units, it's gonna deal a lot of damage. It makes sense now why we have this unit, for example, because as soon as you drop that, this guy triggers stand as 1. Dolmayan, next Warlord. Okay, Dying Embers, Reactor 2, shuffle card to your deck. Next time deal 2 damage. If it dies, draw a card. But, this is pretty good. Okay, oh, so he transforms. Nice. And he becomes the Ashen Warrior, Reactor 3. Does he have a Reactor? Yeah. Heal 2 and trigger with Savage. Trigger stand as 1 of all friendly units. Very, very cool transformation. Nice reckoning there. Now mission. You have troops in play at the start of your turn 5 times. So this is like very hard to trigger, actually. But if you do that, you give your Warlord your armored core units cost 2 less and add random copy of armored core from your deck and has +2. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. This won't be easy to trigger in a game like Legion, so I can understand that. Know your enemy. Give your Warlord shuffle tactics cost 1 less. Shuffle troops have +1/+2. No reason not to use that. Shuffle 2 cards from your hand and draw 2 cards. Okay, that can shuffle tactics as well. Real Rally, deal 4 damage to an enemy troop. Savage, deal 4 damage to adjacent units. Okay, fair enough. Stand as 1/2, deal 4 damage to random enemies adjacent units. Rally, Rage, deal 2 damage to the random enemy. Ordnance 2, yikes. That's pretty scary. But a little bit slow and understated though. Front line 4, deal 2 damage to 3 random enemies. This is way too slow, but it does have a good front line. I think they're just better units here. Other than that, it's pretty good. Atstarva. Yes, this is pretty good. Now this is better than this, obviously, because because of that relentless, it's like a soft front line, so, and it does a lot of stuff. It also gives you flanking units, so why not? But might be wrong. This might be a little slow because of 9 energy. I don't know. Not sure. Deal 6 damage to the random enemy troop and random friendly troop. Oh, okay. Alright, this is pretty interesting. So this is like Santar's old ability, but deals damage instead of removing. Trigger Savage of a friendly unit. Stand as 1/2. Trigger Savage of all friendly units, including himself. What? Okay, so when you drop this, it triggers the Savage. Then this will trigger the Savages again, so thereby triggering this unit's Savage again, which is gonna trigger another unit Savage. There is a very crazy interaction here that I think needs, I think we did not consider here, because guys, like this can mean that this means that you trigger the Savage of yourself as well, so that's like 3 Savage triggers at least. Crazy. Leonhardt. Choose a shuffled card, draw it, reduce the cost by 3 if it's tactic, otherwise give +2 to a troop, and reduce the cost of all shuffled cards in your hand and deck by +1. Once again, pretty slow, but does have a very good rally, so that rally makes it worth it. We are Warriors of Coral. Give your Warlord Reactor 2 and stand as 1, deal 2 damage to 2 random enemies and heal 2. Ooh. This is not overpowered because mostly you're playing it for the reactor, because you're not always going to have 2 troops on the board, so it might be a little bit too slow. Boss Armory. Full heal your troops, give them Savage heal 1, too slow once again. Trigger Savage or stand as 1 of friendly target unit, that's very good. Volley. Give your troops stand as 1, deal 2 damage to a random enemy until your next turn, draw a card. So if you have a huge board, this could be a very strong combo. Deal Savage, Rally and Savage, deal 2 damage to a random enemy with Ordnance, okay. Deal 2 damage to an enemy Warlord and give +1 Plasma. Little bit too slow, once again. Last stand, heal your Warlord by 5 and put in play 3 random Rubicon Liberation Front vehicles or armor core that use 6 or less. Give them front line. Oh, this is a very good. This is like Defenders of Terra, basically. I like it. This is actually a really good card. Swift reaction, give precognition to your Warlord until the end of your turn, so you have 2 precogs for Plasma. Very, very good. It can be used on demand as well, because every Warlord comes with Reactor 2, basically. 5/5/5 front line, add random 2 less cost Rubicon front vehicles in your hand. Not bad. Deal 3 damage if the target dies, give 4 Plasma. Deal 5 damage to the target enemy. Okay, that's pretty good. Theodore is not bad. Actually, it's pretty good. But the thing is, guys, when things go into your deck, it kind of reduces the chances of you getting what you want. Because if you add shit cards to your deck, then you might draw that instead of the good cards. So it has like 2 sides. Okay, this is the anti-stealth. Once again, anti-stealth for Plasma now. Who's this? This is a chunk. I like this guy. So, guys, I like this faction as well, and let me explain why I keep saying too slow, too slow. I'm not criticizing the creator for it. I'm just saying that considering there are so many good cards, it's usually very hard to play the slow cards, but you know what? There should be cards like that as well. Overall, my favorites are Reuse and Development, then Rubicon Liberation, and finally Planetary Closure, because I just think that Planetary Closure is a little bit too overpowered. But otherwise, I think this is a very cool concept. A lot of work and ideas have been put into it, so please leave a comment. What do you think? And do not judge these things as something that would be played against Horus Heresy Legion's Warlords, right? This is a separate expansion, and this is, like, I believe, supposed to be played against each other rather than, like, against Legion's Warlords, right? By the way, I'm not going to be, as I said, putting this music on because it's probably copyrighted. So if you guys want to check it out, make sure you take these links and head over to it and see what the creator has chosen as the themes for each of the factions. So for everybody else who's been waiting for fan-made card presentations, it's gonna be soon. I'll just need a little more time, so thank you for your patience, and Ecclesiarch out.